life. And after I graduated, I just decided to stay on and continue protecting it, since my professor went to another school and he was the curator for it of sorts. So yeah, this is what I do on top of being a librarian and an adjunct professor for museum studies. Now, I know I'm talking a lot. We're going to start moving here soon, but just a couple of things. If anyone wants to get into museums at all, chime in. Yes, no, probably not. I will say Tuskegee has a great museum studies program if you're interested. If you're interested in a graduate degree in museum studies, you can come and see me. But one thing that museum professionals do, we wear gloves. Now, the standard gloves that museum workers wear are white gloves. Can anybody tell me why? Go ahead, chime in.
Is it because they're really clean?
Yeah, that's a good one. What else? Dust detection. Okay, that's a good one. What else? Check to see if stuff is dirty. Yeah. I'll take one more guess. All right. So it's important for museum professionals to wear gloves because you have oils and salts on your hands. Now, if you go to touch an object, you're going to transfer those oils and salts. That's right, to protect artifacts. Absolutely. You're going to protect those. You're going to transfer those oils and salts onto an artifact, and then it's going to stain it and possibly damage it so much so that you won't be able to recover the artifact into its original state. So it's best to try to wear cotton gloves. However, cotton gloves can be slippery, especially if you're dealing with glass or certain pottery. So my favorite to use are nitrile gloves. Now these are workman's gloves, so it has nitrile at the bottom, but a nice breathable fabric at the top, so my hands don't sweat. And they also have a nice grip to them that doesn't harm the object, and it also keeps the object safe from the salts on my hands. Another reason to want to also wear gloves, some objects may be poisonous. Now we have a wonderful collection of armor, of weaponry, especially spears, axes, different types of ceremonial blades. Those have been dipped with poison at the tips. So in order to protect yourself, and there's plenty of rust, in order to be able to protect yourself, make sure you wear your gloves. All right, let's get started. So I have one object that's in my office that I would like to show you all. Let me twist the camera around. Okay, so I kept this in my office for a tour a bit ago, and in one moment. This is a shield from the Arusi people of Ethiopia. Now, there are several things that you're going to hear me say. I'm never going to refer to any ethnic group as a tribe. A tribe is a Eurocentric term, and it carries some negative connotation. So I'm always going to say peoples or ethnic group or community. Now, can anyone guess what this shield is made from? Or made of, excuse me. Not brass. Get a closer look.
Looks like some type of like tortoise shell or something.
It looks like a tortoise shell. It is leather. Can we guess leather from what? Now think about it.
Alligator?
Not alligator. Oh my gosh, Trevor, you're right. It is made from rhinoceros hide. And so this is about 20th century. The leather work is incredibly fine. Trying to turn it over here. You'll see these straps from where we had hung it in an exhibit. But yes, all this is made from rhinoceros hide. And I have to return this bad guy upstairs. However, I gotta find the keys in order to do that first. Another thing that we have, or artifact, this, has anyone ever seen Black Panther? If you have seen Black Panther, do you remember M'Baku, who was one of the neighboring kingdoms, I guess? Well, he carried around, I'm sorry, a tool used to bludgeon people. Well, this is the same thing. Oh, you have one of those too, Daniel? That's cool. Yep, this also comes from Ethiopia, from the Maasai people. And it is used for a tool, but it's mainly used for war. Okay, so welcome to the Leonard S. Oh, what is it made of? This is made of wood.
I feel like grandmas have used those for centuries.
Yeah. Yep. I'm sorry. And this is the lobby of the Leonard S. Washington Memorial Library. This is where I work. It's very dense. Okay, so here are some of the weaponry that we have on display. Well, thank you. So you see an axe here with a face. Different blades. Majority of these were used in ceremony. So the ones that you see here are from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, except for this one. This one is West African. And this is a thrown blade from the Mingbetu of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, let me start by saying this. Majority of our collections do hail from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So the faces represent many things, right? So you see some of the faces here, and sorry for the glare. Now, these represent many things, and you also see like a tortoise here, and then a lizard and or alligator here. Now, these represent different spiritual entities. So, for example, whomever wielded this axe, you will want the protection of your ancestors to make sure you wield it appropriately. So they include faces of spirits or the ideal person onto their weaponry, as well as different animals who may represent different things, and such as wisdom or being able to be stealthy, or maybe animals that they would encounter in day-to-day life. Now, I can tell that this one, judging by the markings here, come from the Kuba people of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Kuba people are some of the most artistic people in the Congo. A lot of them use different geometric patterns, and you're going to see a lot of the geometric patterns in some of the things that we have upstairs too. But again, a lot of these are ceremonial blades. Go on to the other side. Here are some of my favorites, and sorry about this glare. And then you see more faces on this one. All right, so that's some of the weaponry. Do I have any questions? Now remember, if I was touching any of these things, I'm going to want to wear gloves because, again, these things may be dipped with poison on the tip. And just in case I accidentally mishandle it, and if I cut myself, I don't want to end up in the hospital.
Can the like actually last that long and have an effect after all those years?
It's a possibility, but we don't want to take any chances. The way I've always thought about it is this. Rust lasts for a very long time on any type of metal object. And if you were to accidentally poke yourself or cut yourself with a piece of rust, you could get tetanus. We try to keep the same mindset with those objects. We're not really too sure how long they last, or how long any type of poison would last on the objects. Now, again, these are mainly 20th century, possibly made in maybe the early 1900s. Some aren't that old, others are, but in order to be able to keep people safe, because it would cost a lot of money to send them all to be tested. We did before, but that was earlier in the 90s. And so we don't really have that type of funding right now, especially for COVID. But just to be on the safe side, we prefer to keep us all safe, just to make sure the poison isn't active. Okay, so what you see here is remnants of my 2015 thesis exhibit. This is the stuff that's still up. This is going to be a wall of pottery ranging from South Africa to Western Africa. So, of course, pottery are made for different things. Can I get a couple guesses what they would be used for, or what they were made for? Yes, food. Water is a big one, absolutely. What else? Okay, yeah, for water. Think outside of water. What are some other beverages? Fermenting? Oh, absolutely.
Maybe to make medicine.
Okay, that's a good one too. Oil, milk, wine. There we go. Okay, Peyton, you are talking my language. Tools, absolutely. Okay, so for example, these pots are going to be from Nigeria, from the Yoruba people. Now, how do I know that they're by the Yoruba? If you can see this here, that is going to be a double-edged spear. To the Yoruba, the god Shango, one of the gods of war, that's one of his symbols, is that double shield. Excuse me, not double shield, double blade. So this would tell me that this pot was used for ceremonial purposes to honor the deity Shango for the Yoruba people. Now this one has many different patterns. It has snakes, it has lizards, faces, appendages sticking out. This is also a ceremonial vessel for the Yoruba. I can tell this based on some of the depictions of the animals and other insects and amphibians that are seen on them. Now, this would have been used for more general ceremonial purposes, not really anything that was made for a deity of sorts, but this one would have been more so an ancestral pot used to made for libation, made for any type of liquid needed to be consecrated for any ceremonial event taking place with the Kuba. This is a water pot from the Fulani people. What is the most animal on pots and weapons? From what I've seen in the collection, the most used are probably lizards. Lizards and snakes. Those are the ones that I see the most. This is a vessel from Nigeria, from the Shamwana peoples. This is also going to be a ceremonial vessel, but you see here it has those human features, the mouth, arms. You see the dots along the like the chest / neck area. Now those are going to be indicative of different scarification patterns too on a person, but having this is like almost as if a spirit is protecting the contents inside of the vessel. Now, this is an unknown vessel, a water vessel from an unknown culture in Nigeria. Now, I mind you, there are thousands upon thousands of different ethnic groups scattered throughout the continent of Africa. And really, Africa, it seems to change daily. or at least monthly or yearly. And I say this because if you look at a map of Africa, you have to be very careful when you're looking at it. There was a kingdom in South Africa, or it's a country within South Africa, has been renamed. I believe it was Lesotho that's been renamed. And then there's another country that was created, I say about 5 years back, maybe, South Sudan. So if you don't see the new name for the country in South Africa or South Sudan on the map, you know that it's wrong. Anyway, so we have a water vessel from the Songye people of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And you'll see another one here and all of these very intricate patterns. More from the Songye. Now, do me a favor and pay attention to these little ridges here. They look like a rainbow almost. You're going to see that somewhere else upstairs. Now, these are very special to me. These pots are going to be from South Africa, from the Zulu women. Yes, most pots are made of fired clay. Now, pay attention to the designs. Okay? Now, I want you to think about the shape of these pots and think about the designs on these pots. What does it tell you? I'll take some guesses. They are. So think about scarification. Now we see various ethnic groups around the world practice scarification. And if we can even compare it to tattooing here in the United States and elsewhere, we get tattoos to maybe commemorate the death of someone. We get tattoos maybe because we like a picture, or we want to represent where we're from, or we do it to kind of enhance our beauty. Think about all of these different things as to why we use tattoos and apply it to the same method in terms of scarification. Now, the women who created this, these patterns will be indicative of maybe some of the scarification that they would have on their bodies. And it's just this idea of being able to beautify a pot that you're going to reuse. Now, think about the roundness of the pots. What is that representative of? Oh my gosh, Stacy, that's great. Actually, that's perfect guess. Yes, it does. So women are solely responsible for creating pottery. And yes, think about this, the roundness of this pot being able to carry life-sustaining waters. Women carry life within them. Think about the amniotic sac. Think about these ideas of being able to sustain life, which is the reason why women are thought to be empowered to be able to create these things, since they are the creators of life. So I think it's really interesting that they fashion these pots to be exactly, or to almost replicate a natural thing that women do. Moving on to my favorite object in our collection. I would like for you to meet the beloved Ngati Ayamwash. She is from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and she comes from the Kuba people. Now, I've recently added some features to her, including the 2 skirts, but Ngati Ayamwash, she is the queen mother, or kind of like the founder of the Kuba kingdom in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, remember the axe that I showed you all earlier, and I told you all to kind of remember the shapes on it and those geometric patterns? You see that being repeated here. So typically, throughout the continent, all except for one ethnic group, men mainly perform any and all masquerades and ceremonies, and they do so for either initiations or they do it for a funeral, or maybe to commemorate who the founding ancestors were for that particular community. Now, in Ngadi Ayamwa, she is typically costumed with two other characters, and let me see if I can get here. So you have Ngadi Ayamwa here among the Kuba. Now, you see her costume is a bit more ornate than what I have here. I am missing some beads, but that's okay because we're working on acquiring some later on. But beside her, it's going to be Boom. Boom, and then make sure you remember the mask. Boom is going to be the brother slash evil guy who's trying to vanquish his brother, Mashim Boy, who is king of the Kuba. So think about all of those stories. If you know Egyptian mythology, you have Isis, Osiris, and Set. Set is trying to steal the kingdom of Egypt from his brother Osiris, and he's also trying to gain the affections of his sister Isis. Now, also remember, a lot of myths like this, they have there are brothers and sisters who are in relationships and all of those things. That's just the mythology, not acceptable today, but I digress. It's almost the same story. So they are all brother and sister. However, Mashim Boy and Ngadi Ayamwa, they rule the Kuba kingdom. Boom is highly jealous of his brother, really wants the affections of Ngadi Ayamwa, and so he does everything that he can to try to vanquish Mashim Boy, but to no avail. He is then banished from the kingdom of the Kuba, and Ngadi Ayamwa and Mashim Boy go on to again become the founders of the Kuba people, and they are brought out for different ceremonies, especially for funerals. Now, something that's really interesting about Ngadi Ayamwa, cowrie shells, for example, represent currency. So we know that she was full of wealth. Also, you see these lines that are going down her eyes. Those are supposed to represent the hardship of women. But I wouldn't really more so call it a hardship, but this idea of when her mask is used for mourning, she cries. When she gives birth, she's probably crying. And just this element of the tears that women shed for various reasons. So that's depicted on her too. And then the black and white checker patterns will more so be this idea of the home and how she's able to maintain the home, how she's able to maintain having children, how she's able to cook and clean and provide for the Kuba people, but more so for her household as well. And then if you see the blue and white, that's going across her brow. Blue and white signifies royalty for the Kuba. So anyone who has any type of blue and white represented on them, whether it be belts, whether it be costumes, you would know that they're royalty. Any questions? This is called Kasai velvet or Kuba cloth. The Kuba are renowned for their weaving techniques. And so you have two different types of Kuba cloth here. What is the thing on her clothes? Are you talking about this, McKenna? That's a fly whisk. All right, let's go ahead and move upstairs. I'll stop by the place where majority of our artifacts are kept, just so you can see the space. And again, whenever I find those keys, I will make sure to film something to send to you all. All right, welcome to the second floor of the Leonard S. Washington Memorial Library. We were just down there. Now, pardon our progress. We are still renovating the building. So this is beginning of our stacks collections. Majority of the other books are upstairs on the 3rd floor. We are also currently processing $1.2 million worth of books. So we still have a lot of books downstairs in storage that we're processing. So you see a lot of empty shelves here. However, due to Hurricane Katrina, we lost majority of our stacks collection. 10 years later, we were finally granted FEMA funds to be able to restore completely our general stacks collection. So we are still in the process of doing that. And that's why the shelves seem a bit bare, but we're getting there. Okay, so this is where the main collection of objects are held. One of my favorite spaces. And you can see different masks here. Now, this guy up here is a bit interesting. So this one doesn't come from Africa. It actually hails from Papua New Guinea, from the Asmat people. And it's a spirit figure that was carved out of driftwood. So whenever a piece of driftwood comes to shore, the Asmat people believe that that's the ancestor returning. And so they carve the figure and then kind of commemorate it for their ancestor. She's a bit scary, but she's not. This is from a doorpost from the Yoruba in Nigeria. She has a baby on her back, and then there's another baby that she's holding, although you see the holes in it, which can also help confirm her authenticity. Because of course, where she was, she probably would have been attacked by termites and such. So you'll see the holes there for that, but she is termite free. In the background, we have some of the pottery, a lot of the basketry. There's a fun artifact that I like for people to guess that I don't have with me right now, but that's okay. The next time around, I'll make sure that we can see those. Do I have any questions so far? All right, let's go take a tour of the main space, or the second main space. Side note, this used to be my old office. I'm very disappointed that it's not anymore because it was lovely. My office used to be with the objects. So the great thing, I got to at least design the outer posts of the door with ancient Egyptian stuff. And it says Suno in hieroglyphs on the side, but oh, I miss it. Oh, so Stacey, the stuff from Rwanda, unfortunately, is going to be those the baskets that are in the main gallery space. Now, it looks like, my old desk. It looks like there isn't much in here, but this is being turned into an artifact workroom. So when we have our museum study students and people come in, they can be able to use the space. Yes, we do have children's toys. We can use that space to be able to handle all of the objects. But welcome to the second collection space. I should also say the room that you saw with the through the glass, as well as this room, I personally touched every piece in this collection. The way that you see the collections are how they're set up, the way that the shelving units were moved. It took me about 8 months to do all of that by myself. And that's something that I'm exceptionally proud of. But in this room, I tend to keep more of the sacred objects here, which you're going to see a lot of the sacred objects here that I will talk about in just a few. And then, of course, all of our masks. So let's see. We do have a very small African American collection. Anyone here heard of the Mardi Gras Indians? So, the Mardi Gras Indians of New Orleans, they are several groups of, I guess, Indian groups that do mask still. And so they mainly come out for, well, thank you, Lee. They mainly come out for Mardi Gras and for other events too. And typically those were the people they were started as enslaved people who would escape into the marshlands and bayous of Louisiana. And they would adopt Native American ways, or Native Americans would adopt them into their ways. And some of the masking traditions have followed suit to today. So some of these were donated to us by Guardians of the Flame, which is a Mardi Gras Indian group here. So Sharice Harrison Nelson, who's the big queen for Guardians of the Flame, she donated this to us. And this was one of her suits that she stitched. See these patches? She stitched all of that herself, beaded it all. And this was to represent Hurricane Katrina, and you can see that by the date there. Now, we have a stepper suit that she donated from her uncle who passed away before he could really wear it. So you see a piece of it there. And all Mardi Gras Indians, they spend all year building, beading, and constructing their costumes. One of my favorite ones, let's see if I can try to get to it with one hand. I might not be able to. We have a beautiful plume or a headdress that was used. One moment. You can kind of see a little bit of it here. So there's a piece of it. And then you see some of the beadworks and the flame. So this is a headdress. This entire thing would sit on top of her head. And we know that it's from the Guardians of the Flame based off of the flame that's in the middle of it. I wish I could show you more of it, but I'm having difficulties with just one hand. And I tell you, that thing is heavy. I thought we had another one in here too. Let me fix it. Yeah, so if you ever have time, look up Mardi Gras Indians of New Orleans, and you can see a lot of their costumes and a lot of the beadwork, especially the beadwork of the big chiefs. All right. So this collection of things, why do the masks have squinted eyes? When I get to the masks, I'll cover that, but I'll keep that in mind to ask or to answer. These things come from the Museum Studies collection. Now, we have several collections of African art here, as you know. You have the main collections that are owned by, or they're cared for by the Center of African American Studies. Those are the ones that I mainly care for. Well, actually, I care for all of them because they're here. And then you have another collection from the Museum Studies Department. And here are some of the things that they have. Now, one of my favorite things, and these are very sacred, these are slit gongs. So this one is going to be from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, mainly from the Yaka people or the Suku. Now, you see it has like a white powder in the inside of it. Now, anything that you see that has a white powder is going to indicate that these things were used to be able to invoke the ancestors in. These were used to identify if you have any type of ailment Um, Sometimes I do. When I say caring for objects, it's more so making sure that they're protected from any bug damage, any water damage, anything from maybe humidity, making sure they're clean because sometimes dust can destroy an object too. So it's being able to provide constant care for objects like that, and a bit of constant care or well. So the temperatures that most archives, special collections, and other museological collections should be in between 63 to 70 degrees. It's about 67 in here, which is about a good temperature to be able to keep things from mildewing, molding, any of the wood from warping, because again, New Orleans is very humid. Um, but for these, this is going to be, it's a musical instrument that if you take the stick that's supposed to be attached to it, but it no longer is, you drum it across your body, or the diviner who you would go see if you're sick would tap it on different places near your body. And if the pitch or the sound is different, then that person knows that you're infected in that specific area and would prescribe you whatever medicinal medications that would be fit for it.
How do you get most of the items in the museum?
Sorry. Most items are donated. So we have people who are interested or know that we collect and tend to different African art pieces, and they want to donate their collections to us. So most museums and collections have donated material. Now, for the bigger museums, such as like the Met or here, the New Orleans Museum of Art, maybe even the Smithsonian Museum of African Art, they have, of course, more purchasing power to be able to buy things for their collection, but all of our stuff is donated. These are stools from various people groups, mainly from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. These are going to be doors or door panels. We have more stools. Different calabashes, also from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. One thing I love about here, or these, it still smells of burned wood, which you'll hear most museum professionals say that they can determine authenticity based off of smelling an object too. Okay, anyone want to guess what these are? Do a little close up. Any guesses? No guesses? Oh, come on, guys and ladies. Okay, fine. Going once, going twice. These are headrests. Headrests from different parts of the continent. So some of these are from Ethiopia. Others are from Nigeria. Some are from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, such as this one. And so, yeah, instead of pillows, they would have headrests. They are kind of fancy. All right. Here are some of the powerful figures. Now, in different places, we have objects called nkisis or mkisis. Now, I'm missing two of them. They are probably out on display by our other curator. But these nkisis are used to be able to assist people with different things. And you will call upon your ancestors to be able to help you with these things. So, for example, you have this Nkisi here, which again, Nkisis are power figures. The inside of it is packed with different sacred natural materials. So it'll be plant matter, maybe like nuts, and it may have animal matter in there too, such as bones and fur and leather, anything that's used to be able to activate this power figure here. We also have some here from the Songye, and then another one here from the Yaka. This one is also from the Yaka, and I could tell that by the hat on it. Now, if a person will go in to a diviner and say, hey, I need help in more farmland or having a good crop, the diviner would fashion an nkisi for the person to be able to use, and it acts as an intermediary between that person and their ancestors. So your ancestor is helping you out through this power figure here. Now, another figure, these are almost like baby dolls. These are called akuaba dolls. Now, if you ever had a baby doll, remember that you would clothe it and feed it. Or if you didn't have a baby doll, but you witnessed a little girl have a doll, and she would take care of it like it was almost like it was her own daughter. Now, akuaba dolls come from the Ashanti or the Akan in Ghana. When a woman is ready to conceive, and maybe she's having trouble conceiving, she will go to the diviner in her community and will tell them that she's ready to have a child. They will then fashion a akuaba doll out of wood, and she has to carry this around and treat it just like a baby. So you'll see it attached to her back. You will see her feeding it, burping it, rocking it, all of those different things. What she's doing, she is displaying to her community, to the ancestors, to this goddess Akuaba, that she can care for a child. And 9 times out of 10, she ends up getting pregnant. And this was to be, well, one of the causes, or I don't want to say culprit, but it's helped her to be able to get pregnant. So once she does, she sets it on the family altar, and there it remains until she dies. But that Akuaba doll represents the child that she did have, or the fertility figure. It's used as a fertility figure to represent the child that she had. Yes, these are different crucifixes. So this one is going to be from Ethiopia, and you can tell by how ornate it is. This one is going to be from the Congo people of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Now, the Democratic Republic of the Congo was first explored by the Portuguese. Majority of our collection is from the Democratic Republic of the Congo, because our main donor, whose name is William Bertrand, he is a doctor and does a lot of work in Kinshasa in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. He's been doing that since the 60s and has acquired a wealth of art. So much so he's donated majority of his collections to SUNO. Hence why we have so much. But yes, this comes from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Any other questions before we move on to some of the masks really quickly? Yes, so artifacts were destroyed in Katrina, unfortunately, especially majority of our textile collections. And really, you can still see a lot of the damage from Hurricane Katrina on some of the objects that we were able to save. We lost about 500 artifacts in Katrina, and we were able to save at least 400 more. But of course, our collections grew, but you can still see where mold may have bleached the wood, or waterlogged the wood and kind of stained it. And now, for example, this is a Kanaga mask from the Dogon people of Mali. You can see that once upon a time it had vibrant colors, so you'll see like green and red there, and a lot of black. But due to Katrina, of course, it bleached the majority of the wood and the colors. I saw another question. Give me one moment to view it. So they're the main religion of the Democratic Republic of the Congo there are many. So think of course, when the Portuguese came in about the 1400s, they left, and then you had King Leopold of Belgium and his people came in too. It fluctuated from Catholicism. Well, of course, you had many ethnic groups within the Democratic Republic of the Congo practicing their own various spiritual systems. And a lot of those systems celebrated the ancestors who had come before them, and maybe some of the main deities or the god that helped found their particular religions. At one point, Christianity became the main religion when you had missionaries to come over and to force the religion on the people. However, some reverted back to their own spiritual systems. Does that answer your question? I know I have a minute left. Oh, I'm sorry.
I just said yes, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so this is going to be one of the most expensive pieces that we have in our collection. I try not to judge things based off of them being expensive or not, but a lot of people are interested in the price of things. So this is a Sariji mask, also from the Dogon of Mali. Now it's broken into 3 pieces in order to be able to fit in a box. But you have the main piece here at the bottom. The middle piece goes at the top, and then the top piece goes in the middle. Now, when it's performed, it's super tall. It's performed with another Sariji mask, and it helps to usher in whomever ancestor or whatever person that had recently died, to usher them into the afterlife. So these 2 people would wear these masks, and they were responsible for touching the tip to the ground. So imagine that this solid piece of wood and having to crane your neck in order to be able to make this point touch the ground. We have other masks here, some fierce looking ones. Here are the Salamapasu. These are initiation masks worn by boys who are looking to become men. The Salamapasu of the Democratic Republic of the Congo are known to be very fierce. These are from the Bamana people of Mali. That one's all types of metals to be decorated with it. Some of my favorite pieces, you remember Broom for downstairs? There he is. Remember the blues that I told you about, that white and blue? So you'll know that he represents royalty. These are tourist masks. These are representation of Mashin Boy, but they're kind of like cheap representations of them. These weren't used in any type of way. Now, the person who said the slits for eyes, most of the performers would need to see when they put these on. These are from the Kwese of the Democratic Republic of the Congo as well. But yeah, so the person who's masquerading in the Boom mask, for example, Boom doesn't have eyes here, but they'll be able to see through his nostrils. These are pretty special. These are Yaka masks. They're also from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And lastly, well, my favorites are going to be these, and I'll kind of end it here unless people have more questions. These are masks from the Sowe women of the Mende in Sierra Leone. These are called Sowe masks. These are the only masks known on the entire continent of Africa that's masqueraded by women and women only. They have 3 pieces to them. Oh, you're welcome. 3 pieces to them: the neck, the face, and then the hair. The neck represents this idea of water coming from them, as well as this idea of being very healthy. The small eyes and the eyes cast down would more so represent being able to keep secrets. Oh, you're talking about this hair? McKenna? This is raffia. This is actually a type of straw or a type of grass. And then every mask have a different hairstyle. All of these masks were dreamed of by their initiates and taken to a blacksmith. Blacksmiths dealt with both metal and wood, not just metal. But yeah, the blacksmith will create their mask in accordance to their dream. And then the women, when the girls are becoming women in their initiation ceremonies, they would wear, or they were masquerade in these, and then later on cover themselves in chalk. They would then go into the neighboring river or lake, dip themselves in it, and then once they arise out of the water with all the chalk off of them, they would then become women or initiate into women for the community. Do I have any questions? If not, this is going to conclude our tour. Has been a pleasure to be able to show you the collections, or at least some of them. And later on, I will try to see if I can send you other objects. This one is from the Zulu. It's a ear gauge for those who like to have your ears gauged. The shells, the cowrie shells, represent wealth. They were used as a currency. Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, Erika. This was awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. This is I love what I do, and I'm very fortunate to be able to be in a position where I can care for these things.
Yeah,
You all are very welcome.
it's awesome. It's really awesome to get to see what you do as a career too. You know, we might have some people that are interested in that as well. So that's awesome.
Thank you. Again, I love it all so much, and I want to let everybody know, for in your college career, don't be fearful of changing what you like. Tell Stephanie I said hey. Don't be fearful of your interests changing, and college will end up taking you in places that you never would have imagined being. I never saw myself being in New Orleans. Matter of fact, when I was in student support services, we came in New Orleans, and it helped me to come here, and I've been actualizing my passion for the past couple of years now. So it's a dream that come true. But I wish you all the best of luck, and having a great summer, staying safe from COVID-19, among other things. And if you need anything, please reach out. Stacy can provide my email for anyone who's interested in African art, museum studies, Egyptology, whatever. And yeah, thanks, you guys.
Thank you, Erika. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye. Have a good one.